Hello and welcome to EANM TV. My name is Roy Shepherd. We're in Barcelona for the Congress, and this program is called What Does Being an EANM Volunteer Look Like? Well, it looks like these people, all right? And I have to say, this is probably the most colourful EANM TV edition we've ever had. We've been joined by Nathalie and also Wolfgang Wadsak, who is famous for working for EasyJet.
You name it, yeah, but colors are what volunteers make, right?
Yeah, but we're clashing, you know, our people should have talked to each other just to, we complement each other, which is good. Nathalie, can I come to you first? Tell us a little bit about your actual job, your professional job first.
Yeah, very happy to do so. Thanks for the invitation, by the way. So I'm a senior physician of nuclear medicine and a professor of nuclear medicine at the LMU in Munich, Germany. So I'm working as a physician, but I'm also doing lots of research and education.
All right, so how on earth have you got the time to be a volunteer at EANM, and why? What's the rationale for doing it?
Very good question. So, of course, my actual job already takes a lot of time. I'm quite busy. My days have...
Quite busy. That's a euphemism for, yeah, it's just crazy busy, but...
My days have 48 hours. No. So I think the most important thing is to use two seemingly simple words in a very conscious way. And we're using these two words very often every day. It's the word yes and no. So if you use them in a very conscious way and you know where to say yes and where to say no to things, because you cannot do everything. So you really have to focus on the important things. And for me, volunteering at EANM is a clear yes.
All right, where did you learn the yes or no? It's something that is so powerful, because people say yes when they really would prefer to say no, but they don't often have the confidence to say no, and they don't want to upset people or whatever. But where did you learn that? Were you taught it, or did you just wake up one day and go, right?
Actually, yeah, I was taught that. So for a long time, I said yes to everything, right? So I was being asked, are you going to do this project? Are you going to support this and that? I said yes, 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 and I think at the beginning of the career it's smart to do that, because then everybody sees that you're very motivated and that they can count on you. But then suddenly the tasks increase, and then it is really important to understand, what do I have to do and what is my vision? What do I need to do in order to pursue that vision? And then you have to start to say no, because if not, you're going to be distracted.
And it's a fundamental shift in one's career, isn't it? Where
it is.
You have the confidence to say no.
It is.
But the perverse thing is, when you use no appropriately, people think more of you, they don't think less of you.
Absolutely, and people respect it. And at the beginning I thought, okay, I cannot say no because it's impolite, but it is not. It's just that you're focusing on the important things. And because you asked me if I learned it by myself or if I was taught that, so I started an initiative. It's called Fem Club, Female Excellence in Medicine, where we have lots of coaches teaching us how to organize our careers, how to move forward, and this was one very important learning.
So
from
this
the
has
Fem
turned
Club.
into a time management productivity program here, but it's about volunteering. Now, Wolfgang, you've been a volunteer in EANM for a long time. What value have you got from it, and what value do you think other people who at the moment think, oh, I haven't got time to do that?
No, I think the most important thing about being a volunteer is really sitting on the table with kind of the adults, as you have the feeling when you start your career. As Nathalie mentioned, you struggle.
But that's intimidating.
It isn't, actually, because everybody cooks with water, as we say. So in reality, there is not really a big difference between those high-shot professors that you see first when you're early in your career, and when they sit on the table.
But that's only after you've joined the table. I mean, in order to go into the room is a big deal if you're starting out in your career. I mean, you are now chair of the EANM Guidelines and Publications Council, so you come into contact with a lot of people, and a lot of people know you. Perhaps because of your dress sense too?
Maybe. I mean, you always need to find a way to distinguish yourself from others. Yeah, and that's. I mean, also.
Or talent and expertise and knowledge. I mean,
also something that should count. And of course, you need to do your work first before you are ready to become a volunteer. You need to have some expertise that you bring in, and especially on the council level, which is more for seniors, where you have already a clear knowledge about the functionality of EANM with its committees, with its science in the background. I think that's a choice then you go into later.
What sort of comments do you get from volunteers about what they've gained from being a volunteer?
I think they gained, networking opportunities really for their lifetime, not only in their professional life, but also outside. There's friendships that are built. The second thing is that you really make a difference because you can influence directly what's going on in the field. You write the guidelines that pave the way for what becomes kind of clinical standards out there. You pave the way for large clinical trials as Nathalie is running them and so on. So you have really the chance to make an impact. And that's not so many that you have if you're coming especially from maybe smaller countries or smaller institutions. Here at EANM, everybody is treated the same way. So you have the same chance if you come from a small institution or a very large one, very renowned one. Everybody is welcome and everybody can make a difference.
So what would you add to what you've said already about how you balance, volunteering, your career and your home life? And the reason I say that is that in other associations I've worked with, they very often have to do night shifts. So, and that puts all sorts of challenges on women especially, so that's a particular issue. So you've been involved and been part of setting up a women in medicine organization as well, so you must have these conversations all the time. So what would you say to allay any fears or concerns that people might have about being a woman, but it's not just confined to being a woman as well? I'm being so politically correct, or trying to be.
I will answer also as a man afterwards.
Yeah.
He has more kids than I do. No, so of course it's a challenge to balance everything. But the thing is, you give something in and you get so much more back if you're volunteering at the EANM. So therefore I would absolutely recommend to join the EANM family, to volunteer here, to participate. Because if you're just by yourself, you can do little projects and they're also nice, but together with the EANM colleagues, with the network that we are having here, you can really have an impact. You can really make meaningful advances in our field. And I think if that is what drives you, then you should definitely be part of this.
I mean, there are many different levels of being a volunteer. I mean, you're chairing a committee, and if you're relatively new in your career, you're not going to come straight in to chair a committee. Although I'm sensing that there is a far more of an appetite to encourage the voices of young professionals to be amplified. So, what advice would you give to young people, so male or female?
Yeah, but absolutely. So they should not fear that this is really overwhelming them with additional work. Yeah? It's more like you carve out a little bit of the time that you always have in your professional time, and you say, well, I dedicate this 1 hour a week for a meeting. I dedicate this 1 hour for really doing the active work.
So it can be as little as an hour a week, or to start with.
To start with, yeah, you need to commit maybe for 2-3 hours. No, 2-3 hours a week for a beginner in a committee. That is probably really enough. Yeah. Of course, if you're chairing then, or you have other obligations, it becomes more. But you are also aware of that. And I could always fit that into my professional time, so to say, of the day. I did never really need to go into my evenings. Sometimes I work on Saturdays and Sundays, but that's my personal thing, and I also did before that. Yeah. So it's not something specific to EANM. So you don't need to fear that. And the other thing is, if you really want to join, there is always opportunities open. And people are, as far as I see that at the moment, quite eager to really also be part of it. EANM is a movement that has strived now for a couple of years and really set the standards. And people want to join. I can give you an example. We have just had an open call in our council for positions. There were more than 30 people applying, which is really really cool.
And do you know what sort of age range they
Yes,
are?
young to middle age, I would say, to experience, so everything in there. Of course, for a council, we'll look maybe for a little bit more experience than for a committee, but also there we will keep everybody in the loop because we want to have them as part of the EANM. Not everybody can be a council or committee member, because they are limited in number, but everybody is a welcome expert that we want to reach out to, and they can provide their input on a project base.
All right, let's just go back to your little interjection just now when he said about an hour, and you said, come on, be honest. So just give us the truth then. What is involved?
No, I was just kidding. It really depends on how much you want to give in. So
well, that's it, isn't it? If you get engaged and you do your hour a week and you go, oh, I'm really enjoying this, the people are great and I like it, so you're going to decide to make it more of a priority, aren't you?
Definitely. So I think you should more consider it as an opportunity. Although at the beginning I thought, okay, I'm trying to give something, but then I learned that you really get back a lot, and you can.
But don't do it for that reason.
No,
that's the
exactly.
Other thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Don't do it for that reason, but you will be surprised how much you will get back by. Participating in guidelines, writing the guidelines, leading a field, and this is really rewarding.
All right. Tell us about the Get Involved campaign. What is this?
Yeah, I mean, the EANM has started that campaign to really reach out, especially to the young. I mean, we always look for next generation, knowing that the kind of more experienced researchers, they will drop out at some point in time.
What, from burnout or?
Just because they want to maybe do different things in their lives when they retire. No? Yeah. So it's a natural way that also we need to have that turnover in our volunteer networks, to make sure that we get fresh blood, that we get fresh ideas into it, and that's why we reach out to them with a lot of initiatives. And the Get Involved one is one that we also have here, that we dedicate time. All the councils, committees are present, and everybody who's interested should join and just talk to us. You can ask those questions that you critically ask also here. So how much time is really involved? What do I do at the beginning? What is expected from myself? Do I have some necessary prerequisites before I join?
What's the difference then between a volunteer and an intern? And the reason I ask that is that very often, when people are really starting out in their career, they become an intern, and they tend to get given the really mundane, menial sort of work that needs to be done. You have some particularly intelligent, very well-educated people here. Are people volunteering and applying that intellect, or is it just administrative?
No, it's definitely not administrative. For administration work, we have the office, the executive office, and they are doing a tremendous job in supporting all the activities, and so you can really rely on that. And also that is really a strength of EANM, that they have put so much also resources into that, making the life of all the volunteers much easier, in really concentrating on the mental work and intellectual work.
Can you give me some idea of what some of the volunteers actually do, just to give a sense of the sorts of work that they're doing?
I mean, the volunteers, they are responsible for putting together a program here at the Congress. So the session composition is done by the volunteers, by selected groups. As we said, the guidelines are written by the writing groups coming out of those initiatives. Education work in ESMIT is driven by that. And then they have their separate little projects depending on those groups. We have the women empowerment now since, 5 years or so, roughly 5 years, I think, which was also started directly by volunteers, the young investigators meetings, and so on. So plenty of initiatives that can be started really from bottom up, and the board is supporting all these initiatives.
And lots of volunteers here at the Congress, which is the biggest event, in the EANM calendar. There is one other new development here at the Congress, which is the EANM Village. And so, can you tell me a little bit about the village? I know a bit about it, but
you should walk over after, because it's really worth having a look there. And so it brings together all these different disciplines out of the EANM, so that we have, as we said, now the new journals, and I think you had some talk about that already in an early edition. We have also the publication space, we have the ESMIT space, we have the Earl space. So all the main initiatives initiatives from the EANM coming together. You can meet the office staff there, you get all the information you require, and have some fun. It's very leisurely.
I mean, what I thought was fantastic when I looked at the village for the first time was that there are QR codes on the walls everywhere. So if you want instant knowledge about anything new, then there is probably a QR code for it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So look, we've run out of time, but thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning. Any final thing that you want to say to encourage people to get involved?
Well, I would say really take the opportunity, join the EANM family to really make meaningful advances in our field and be part of the forefront of precision medicine.
Dare to dare.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. That brings us to the end of EANM TV for now. I will see you next time. Thank you.